This is SportsCenter.
On the first ever edition of CentralCast SportsCenter, we're covering the 2021 football season. First, the game against Thompson, where Brendan Maggio had a field day with his wide receivers. Then to the Lisbon game as the Squirrels routed the Broncos. Then 12 seniors finished off their regular season careers with a dominating game against Elk Grove. And in playoff coverage, the Red and White had their way with the Harvey Hornets. It's all coming up on SportsCenter right now.
Hello, and welcome to CentralCast SportsCenter. I'm Kaylee Hagnes along with Paige Wixo. The 2021 fall season got underway under much better circumstances than the 2020 season did. COVID was still an issue, but the games more or less were played as they were in pre-COVID years, and fan attendance was unrestricted. CentralCast started out their season on the roads against the number 1 ranked Hillsboro Burros. The Squirrels were in control the entire game and came away with the impressive upset win 31-12.
Next, it was a home game with Thompson Tommies from Region 2. Thompson has been one of the top 9-man teams in the state for several seasons, but this year sees them playing 11-man. The passing game was in top form with QB Brendan Maggio throwing several perfect passes. The Thompson Tommies went 3 and out on their first possession. On their first offensive play of the season, quarterback Brendan Maggio connected on a pinpoint pass to Frosty Wisniewski for a 32-yard touchdown. With less than a minute to go in the first quarter, the Tommies were threatening to score, but Frosty gets another highlight with his interception at the goal line and tops it off with a 73-yard return. That wasn't the only interception for the Squirrels. In the second quarter, Cade McKinnon, coming off a year on the sidelines because of a torn ACL, gets his own pick. Isaac Williams and Jacob Thompson also had interceptions later in the game. The front line was putting a lot of pressure on the Tommies quarterback throughout the game. Number 69, Nate Burley, gets a tackle for a 20-yard loss. It's Brendan Maggio again, this time to senior Jake Deutsch, who used his sprinter speed to get behind the defense and haul in another on-the-money pass. That's 72 yards and a touchdown. It's that same duo again, but this time it's for a measly 68 yards and a touchdown. The Tommies were forced into a passing situation, so the defense could pretty much ignore any running threat. Tyler Crochet gets the sack for a 15-yard loss. After reeling off 122 yards in the opener against Hillsboro, Owen Wiersma was somewhat stymied in this game, except for this 48-yard jaunt. You can't really blame the defender on this one. He was right with Deutsch the whole time. But Maggio's pass was perfect again, 32 yards and another score. CentralCast was in control the whole game, which ended up 41-22. Thompson actually had 16 first downs to just 8 for the Squirrels, but the Squirrels made up for that with the long touchdown passes. Other than the 48-yard run by Wiersma, the Squirrels had only 15 net yards rushing.
The Squirrels followed up that game with wins against Sargent County and Oaks before falling to Kindred. Next up was Lisbon, another team that has had a lot of success over the past few years. The Broncos came in with a 4-game winning streak, but the Squirrels would put an end to that streak with an exclamation point. Wiersma can do more than just take hands off. He can also rack up some big yards when teaming up with Maggio's pass. Owen caught this one behind the line of scrimmage but tacked on 22 yards. On the very next play, it's the Maggio to Deutsch combination again to get the scoring started. Wiersma takes the handoff and heads up the middle for 13 yards and a first down. Marcus Bifford comes in untouched from a middle linebacker position to get the TFL. Jake Deutsch is a sprinter in track, a wrestler, a football player, and from the looks of his catch, could also be a ballerina. Frosty, however, cannot be a ballerina. Owen Wiersma would consistently get off good runs. This one went for 17. Majo drops back and looks for someone other than Deutsch this time, and ends up hitting Will Ellison in stride for another touchdown. It was 41-8 at the end of 3, and that's how the game ended. Owen Wiersma continued to be the go-to runner, with 21 of the team's 28 rushing attempts. In addition to his 90 rushing yards, Owen also picked up 72 receiving yards on 4 catches.
We are going to take a short break. When we come back, we are going to have 2 new anchors to finish the show for us.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Peyton Lamar, and I'm joined by Mitchell Mealander, and we're going to be finishing out the show today with 2 more football games. After the Lisbon victory, the Squirrels racked up a couple of easy wins. First against EEK, and then Linton on homecoming weekend. That left one more game to finish off the regular season, against the Oak Grove Grovers, who entered the final week with a record of 1-7. On paper, it looked like to be a one-sided affair, and it didn't take long for the Squirrels to pull away. Oak Grove punted after their first possession. On the first play from scrimmage for the Squirrels, it was Majo de Deutsch connecting for their 12th touchdown pass this season. Oak Grove went 3-and-out again, and on the second play from scrimmage for the Squirrels, Owen Wiersma goes 26 yards untouched to make the score 14-zip. Here's our obligatory defensive play for this game. The D-line breaks through, and Miles Vance ends up with the sack. It's Wiersma with another good run, getting it down inside the 5. He would take it in for his second touchdown of the game on the following play. What have you got in the playbook when it's 3rd and 27? It's a pass from Majo to Will Ellison, which gets the first down with several yards to spare. It was time to give the starters a rest, but that didn't mean the Squirrels stopped scoring. 66 yards is nothing for senior Jaden Dutt, as this romp makes the score 42-7 after the PAT. Late touchdowns by Carter Samick and another by Jaden Dutt made the final score of this one 56-21. That gave the number 2 seed in Region 1 to the Squirrels with their record of 8-1. Majo only threw 5 passes this game, but averaged only over 20 yards per attempt. Dutt led the team in rushing yards, getting 95 on just 4 attempts.
The win against the Grovers meant the Squirrels would be matched up with the number 3 seed of Region 2, the Harvey Hornets, with their 7-2 record. The Hornets had lost in the first round of the playoffs in each of the previous 5 years. The Squirrels were out to make that 6 in a row. They used a new wrinkle in their offense to take care of business. It took a while for the Squirrels offense to get going, but by lining up a new Wildcat formation, they finally break through, with Owen Wiersma taking the snap and running it from 30 yards out. Cade McKinnon came up with his 5th interception of the year to keep the Hornets out of the red zone. Owen again takes a direct snap, but this time does something new. He passes it into a very tight window to Cade for a touchdown. The game wouldn't be complete without a touchdown pass from Majo to Deutsch. This one made the score 27-0. And the game still wouldn't be complete unless it had another touchdown connection between these two. Jake is barely able to get his fingers on it, but that's all he needs. Carter Verkota is a premier kicker in 11B. This field goal is good from 40 yards out. On the season, he was 40 of 42 on extra points, and also kicked 5 field goals during the season. Harvey scored late, but Isaac Wisniewski took the ensuing kickoff 70 yards for the final scoring play of the day, and Harvey was sent home with a 43-6 loss. The Squirrels more than doubled the Hornets in total yards and outrushed them 234-20. Owen's yard total was his best on the season.
In the next playoff round, the Squirrels went up against Hillsborough in a rematch of the season opener. The Burros were a changed team since that first game, and they came out with the win 28-6. The season's final one-loss record for the Squirrels was 9-2, with both losses to the team that would make it to the Dakota Bowl All in all, a fine season for the 2021 Squirrel football team. Owen Wiersma, Jake Deutsch, Tyler Cruchet, Caden McKinnon, and Dylan Sell were named to the all-region team. Jake Deutsch set a school record with 16 touchdown receptions. Wiersma set the school record for rushing touchdowns with 20. And Cade led the team with 5 interceptions and 57 tackles. That's it for this edition of Sports Center. Be watching for our volleyball recap, and once basketball season starts, we'll hopefully have a new show every 2 or 3 weeks. Subscribe to the CentralCast Sports Center channel on YouTube to be notified of each new show as it is posted.